Hello, I'm Blossom Olumise. In this video, we will be taking a critical look into Neil Postman's 10 principles for technology use in education. Meet Miss Jambai. She is a 7th grade world history teacher who just completed her first year of teaching through a pandemic. Through the pandemic, Miss Jambai utilized a variety of tech tools to keep her learners engaged. At the end of the school year, Ms. Jambai meets with her principal to collaboratively reflect on her goal of introducing students to as many new technologies as possible. Ms. Jambai believes that technological aptitude is the most important skill set in the 21st century, and she is committed to helping her students compete. Her principal applauds her hard work in implementing a variety of tech tools, but challenges her to look into Neil Postman's 10 principles for technology, to form an additional stance on how tech tools should be used for the success of all learners. Heeding her principal's advice, Ms. Jambai researches Postman's principles. After careful study, she recognizes how relevant they are to the technological changes she's witnessed in the past year alone. She then makes it her goal to update and integrate those principles into her teaching for the upcoming school year. By the end of this video, you too will be able to update and integrate Neil Postman's 10 principles for technology into practical strategies for technology use in the classroom to empower today's learners. Neil Postman was a controversial thinker in his time. He was an American educator, a professor at New York University for the majority of his career. He was a media theorist. He emphasized the non-neutrality of media and how the form in which information is transmitted can reinforce certain biases. He was also a social critic. His most prominent argument is that television as a medium will reduce politics, news, history, and everything else into mere entertainment. In 1995, Postman released his book, The End of Education. He provided a critical view of technology to help his audience consider how technology can be used to provide products and systems that create an inclusive society where all people can thrive. In this book, Postman presents his 10 principles of technology. He argues that teaching these principles will empower learners to develop a critical attitude about what technology helps us do and what it hinders us from doing. Postman's principles provide learners at all levels the skills to critically evaluate the impact that technology makes in our lives, analyze technological change in a rational and thoughtful way, identify the interdisciplinary nature of technology by pointing out its connections between the sciences and humanities, make judgments about how science and technology have transformed the physical world in human society, and formulate strategies for influencing public discussions about the technology-society issue. Principle 1. All technology is a Faustian bargain. Postman believed there was always a trade-off. This trade-off is exemplified in research studies that show with the increase of school computers in addition to mobile devices, face-to-face communication and collaboration has declined. There has been a dramatic increase in screen time among secondary school students and subsequently a decrease in social skills and empathy. Strategy for Principle 1. Leverage technology to support the holistic learning process. Enlighten your students of the trade-offs new technologies bring about and make it a goal to challenge those trade-offs. Motivate students to collaborate using FaceTime. Give students the option to work asynchronously or in person. Implement projects that require students to think and create in person. Principle 2. New technology benefits some and harms others. In the book Technically Wrong, Sexist Apps, Biased Algorithms, and Other Threats of Toxic Tech, author Sarah Wachter-Boettcher tells the story of Jackie Alcini, a young African-American man who performed a Google image search on himself to find that all of his selfies had been assigned new categories. They had all been labeled gorilla. The wrongful categorization was due to Google's photo auto tagging feature, which had recently launched. The new feature was proficient at a variety of tasks, including identifying the make, model, and year of a car just by its photo, but was unable to identify dark skin. Unfortunately, photo technology has a history of failing Black users. In 2016, Google reported that just 1% of their technical staff is Black. This narrow workforce is what creates the blind spots in tech design that propagate bias and racial aggressions. Strategy for Principle 2. Enhance culturally responsive teaching with technology. Culturally responsive teaching is the method of teaching in a multicultural setting. Teachers use this method to encourage students and families to relate course content to their cultural context. This is possible with the right technologies. For example, apps like Google Hangouts let students collaborate and communicate with people around the world, including peers and experts. Apps like ThingLink provide accessible information through interactive images and videos. YouTube Live can be used to virtually bring families into the school for special events or to showcase learning. Translation apps like Reverso can be used to communicate with families who don't speak English. Principle 3. Embedded in every technology are ideas that change us. In the book Reclaiming Conversation, The Power of Talk in the Digital Age, author Sherry Turkle argues that our cell phones are not just an accessory, but a psychologically potent device that change not just what we do, but who we are. She states that the mere presence of our phone signals that our attention is divided and will ultimately limit the degree of connection we feel. This then infringes on our ability to self-reflect, build meaningful relationships, and contribute to our society at large. Strategy for Principle 3. Acknowledge the power of technology and teach on media balance and well-being. Start with some reflective questions. For example, how does digital media try to hook you, and what can you do about it? How does your social media use affect how you feel? Are you addicted to your device? And if so, are companies to blame? Common Sense Education is a phenomenal resource to find comprehensive digital citizenship lesson plans that address media balance and well-being for K-12 students. Learn more at commonsense.org. Principle 4. New technology usually makes war against old technology. In the past decade, we have seen an entourage of new technologies claim the limelight and push older technologies into the shadows. But new doesn't always mean better. Strategy for Principle 4. Harness technology for deeper learning and avoid using tech for tech's sake. Before using the newest tech tool out there, we should ask these questions. Does the technology add value so students can work in different and better ways? When technology tools are utilized, do they draw focus away from important learning? Are digital technologies utilized by students in both appropriate and empowering ways? Answering these questions will tailor the tech we bring into the classroom. Principle 5. A new technology doesn't merely add something, it changes everything. Technology makes it possible to redefine tasks and accomplish things that were previously impossible. This is a great thing for education. Strategy for Principle 5. Look for ways to redefine tasks with technology. When planning, ask, what can I do with these devices that would be impossible to do without them? One example is student creation with online apps. EduCreations is an app where students can create their own math videos, write blogs, and conduct challenge-based learning projects. Another is robust differentiation. Apps like Screencastify allow teachers to create interactive video mini lessons to meet the needs of specific learners. Then there's global collaboration with Mystery Skype. Students can connect and work with learners from a variety of backgrounds and cultures in their community and around the world. Principle 6. Technologies have different intellectual and emotional biases. The truth is that technology is not neutral. Tech products are designed with blind spots, biases, and ethical blunders that leave vulnerable people out. For example, most technologies assume that all people are seeing and hearing, among many other biases. Therefore, it is our job to find the technology that will best serve our students. Strategy for Principle 6. Implement universal design for learning principles when incorporating educational technology. These principles are centered on the belief that accessibility for one benefits all. The principles are broken down into 3 categories. The first is to provide multiple means of engagement. The second, provide multiple means of representation. The third, provide multiple means of action and expression. To learn more, you can visit udlguidelines.cast.org. Principle 7. Different technologies have different political biases. Technology is most often a reflection of the values and beliefs of the people who develop them. During this 2016 election, Twitter and Facebook were breeding grounds for the circulation of fake news. Social critic Sarah Wachter-Boettcher argues that though Twitter was designed to be a hub for fake news with extreme bias, the blind spots in its design are a result of the narrow design model which optimizes it for large-scale disruption. In other words, biased input, even more biased output. Strategy for Principle 7. Pre-select tech tools that are politically neutral. As facilitators of learning, it's important that our rhetoric be as neutral as possible. This will allow students to form their own beliefs and values. Principle 8. Different technologies have different sensory biases. Unfortunately, most technology assumes that all users have the same abilities, leaving many out. Strategy for Principle 8. Ensure your tech tools follow web accessibility guidelines. Please note that this is not only a suggestion, but also the law. Utilize tech tools that have subtitles, summarize audio and video content, perform text-to-speech, or have proper content structure. To learn more, visit w3.org/WAI. Principle 9. Different technologies have different social biases. Technology reinforces social bias through the default settings of certain tech tools. Take, for example, Apple's Siri, Google Now, Samsung's Voice, or Microsoft's Cortana. They are all women's voices, which serve as the default for each. The social bias here is that women are expected to be more helpful than men. Women are seen as society's helpers, strengthening user association. Strategy for Principle 9. Avoid tech tools that reinforce social biases. Survey the demographic of your students and use culturally responsive tech tools. Avoid apps that hold sexist assumptions, maintain class exclusivity, and lack racial diversity. Principle 10. Different technologies have different content biases. Content bias occurs when there is a lack of consideration for a demographic within an algorithm. For example, in a Google search, you may find that only big businesses populate when you search for a product or service. Strategy for Principle 10. Use a variety of search engines to find diverse resources. It may also be helpful to use privacy-oriented search engines. Anonymous search engines don't collect personal information. Since they don't know anything about you, these search engines eliminate the possibility of location and search history bias. Here are a few you can try out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and share with other members of our teaching and learning community. Stay tuned for the reference pages.